When kindness unlocked everything, Marcus stood frozen outside his boss's office, his hand trembling on the doorknob. Through the frosted glass, he could see her silhouette hunched over her desk, shoulders shaking. Sarah Chen, the woman who never showed weakness, who commanded boardrooms with confidence, was crying, alone, in the dark. Marcus knew he should walk away, pretend he hadn't seen anything, but something deeper pulled at him. His daughter's voice echoed in his mind from that morning. "Daddy, you always say kindness costs nothing." He knocked softly, and when she looked up with tear-stained eyes, he made a choice that would change both their lives forever. He stepped inside and gently locked the door behind him, not to trap her but to protect her dignity from the prying eyes of the late-night cleaning crew. What happened in that locked room wasn't what anyone would expect. It was something far more powerful than gossip or scandal. It was the moment when two broken people discovered that kindness has no boundaries, no hierarchies, and no price tag. Before we continue with this incredible story, I want to invite you to join our Heartfelt Moments family. If stories about real human connection and the power of simple kindness touch your heart, please hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a moment. Drop a comment below telling us about a time when someone's kindness changed your day. And if this story moves you, give it a like and share it with someone who needs to remember that we're all human, no matter our titles or positions. Now, let's get back to Marcus and Sarah. Marcus was a single dad who had been working as a junior analyst at Chen Investments for 3 years. Every day was a careful balance between spreadsheets and spelling homework, between quarterly reports and parent-teacher conferences. His daughter Emma was his whole world, and he'd learned to survive on 4 hours of sleep, strong coffee, and the hope that his hard work would eventually give her the life she deserved. Sarah Chen was his boss's boss's boss. She was the founder, the face on the company website, the name on the building. To Marcus, she had always been more legend than person. But that night, working late to finish a presentation, Marcus saw something that shattered the legend. Sarah wasn't the untouchable CEO. She was a woman who had just received news that her mother's cancer had returned. She was someone who had spent all day being strong for investors, strong for employees, strong for the board, and had finally, in the privacy of her own office, allowed herself to fall apart. When Marcus locked that door, Sarah's eyes widened with surprise, maybe even fear. But he simply walked to her small office refrigerator, pulled out 2 bottles of water, and sat down in the chair across from her desk. "Mrs. Chen," he said quietly, "you don't have to say anything. You don't have to explain. But you also don't have to be alone right now." What Sarah said next surprised them both. "Please," she whispered, "just call me Sarah." For the next hour, they didn't talk about quarterly earnings or market projections. Sarah told him about her mother, about immigrating to America at 12, about building the company from nothing because her mother had sacrificed everything to give her a chance. She talked about the guilt of success, of having everything while watching her mother fight for every breath. And Marcus listened, really listened, not as an employee to a boss, but as one human to another. Then Marcus did something unexpected. He pulled out his phone and showed Sarah a photo. It was Emma, his daughter, holding a handmade card she'd made for him after his wife had left them 2 years ago. "When my world fell apart," Marcus said, "Emma told me something wise for a 6-year-old. She said, 'Daddy, sad is just love with nowhere to go.' Maybe you're sad right now as just all that love you have for your mom, looking for somewhere to land." Sarah broke down again, but this time it was different. This time, someone was there to witness her pain, to validate it, to remind her that being human wasn't a weakness. But the story doesn't end there. The next morning, Marcus expected awkwardness, maybe even regret. Instead, he found a note on his desk from Sarah, asking him to meet her for coffee. Over that coffee, Sarah shared something that would change Marcus's trajectory. She told him about a leadership development program she was creating, designed specifically for employees who showed not just competence, but character. "I've watched you for a while, Marcus," she said. "The way you help your teammates, the way you never complain about leaving early for Emma's school events, the way you show up, fully even when life is hard. And last night you showed me what real leadership looks like. It's not about authority. It's about seeing people." Marcus became the first participant in that program, but more than that, he and Sarah developed a mentorship that transcended typical workplace relationships. Sarah began leaving the office at reasonable hours, inspired by Marcus's dedication to his daughter. She started a company initiative providing childcare support for working parents. And when Emma got sick and needed expensive treatment that Marcus's insurance didn't fully cover, Sarah quietly made sure the company's benefits expanded to include exactly what Emma needed, not just for Marcus, but for every employee facing similar struggles. The transformation rippled outward. Employees noticed their CEO becoming more present, more human. The company culture shifted from cutthroat competition to collaborative support. Productivity actually increased because people felt seen, valued, and safe to be authentic. 3 years later, Marcus stood on a stage at a company-wide meeting, now a director himself, sharing this story. "Kindness isn't soft," he told the crowd. "Kindness is the bravest thing we can do. It's choosing to see someone's humanity when it would be easier to see their title, their position, their armor." That night I made a choice to lock that door, not to hide something wrong, but to protect something sacred. Another person's vulnerability. Sarah stood in the back of the room, her mother, now in remission, beside her. She caught Marcus's eye and smiled. That single act of kindness, that choice to stay when walking away would have been easier, had unlocked something neither of them expected. It unlocked healing, growth, transformation, hope. The truth is, we all have moments when we can choose kindness or convenience. We can choose to see someone struggling and walk past, or we can choose to lock the door on judgment, on fear, on hierarchy, and simply be present. Sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is acknowledge that beneath every title, every role, every mask we wear, we're all just people trying our best. Today, choose kindness. You never know whose life, maybe even your own, you might unlock.